Hello, mentors. In this video, we'll consider the key aspects of learning in our Math CEO meetings. So what is the nature of a mathematical learning environment? So the way we frame this is we have the environment and we have two very important things to control. One is motivation and the other is learning. So motivation means that the students know that there are challenges, and these challenges are internal and not just external. So we just don't look for rewards or prizes to catch the students' attention. We actually want to make the math so interesting that it's a goal in its own. And also motivation leads to autonomy. So what we want is to push these kids and to, make them be more autonomous. And that just spikes motivation. And what about learning? Well, it goes along with motivation. So what we want is to emphasize understanding. Instead of just teaching procedures or rules or memorization, what we want is that kids understand. That should be our goal, and that leads to learning. And finally, this is very important, we want to build a mathematical identity in kids. Why is that? Why do I need an identity? Well, math is social like any other activity. And so it's very important that kids know that there are math creatures. And not many people know what that is. So we'll talk about that. So here are the key aspects of learning in our Math CEO program. It all starts with caring. Okay? That's the central thing. It goes along with the growth mindset. That's another key step. And then I do this throughout something that's called multidimensional classroom, which is the idea that there's many ways to do math. So the main vehicle for our mathematical meetings is communication, questions, and dialogue. This is the way we do things. And finally, a very important aspect, formative assessment, which is assess to make kids learn more, not just to give a grade. So these all 5 factors will lead us to self-efficacy and autonomy, which is our final goal for our kids. Let's go in detail and explain each of these aspects of learning. So caring means you have to earn your trust with the kids, you have to hold high expectations, and you also have to tell students and have them know that they're in a safe environment where mistakes are allowed. So you should care about 2 things specifically. First, maximizing student abilities, that's very important, and fostering a mathematical identity. So, telling them that they're doing math, and that doing math means not just writing tests, but actually engaging. So care about your students. Okay, the second aspect is the growth mindset. And this is the fact or the theory or the idea that skills, talent, intelligence is something that can actually grow. So you have to cultivate effort and you have to promote a lot of reflection. Why? Because reflection is the thing that allows me to know that I can be better. So there are 2 things that will happen naturally when we cultivate the growth mindset. Academic performance is just grows. And also positive attitudes about learning. So your kids will have more positive attitudes, not only in math, but in general in academia. Well, how do we do this? It's just spread that growth mindset. You have to have it yourself first. Now, the third aspect of learning is the multidimensional classroom. This has to do with answering the following question. What does it mean to be successful in math? And what it means in the multidimensional classroom idea is that we value many, many ways in which kids can be successful in math. So there's lots of activities that go beyond just writing a test in which kids can prove themselves that they're successful in math. So you want to go beyond tests and procedures. That's the first thing. And then you want to use multiple activities and multiple representations and lots of different ways to test for understanding. What this means is that you're building a strong mathematical identity. The fourth aspect of learning is the one about communication. So we want kids to reason, and the way kids reason is through dialogue. We want to ask right questions for thinking, not just questions that can please the mentor. And we also want to understand that learning is a social thing. So you want to invest in the art of asking good mathematical questions, and in a later video we'll deepen in that. And you also want to use dialogue to model habits of reflecting. So you want to invite the students to live math as a social practice. Okay, finally, the last aspect of learning that the Math CEO program promotes is formative assessment. This means that I am assessing for learning. I am anticipating my students' thinking so that I can correct it during the meeting, not after a year, after 5 years. I want to do this as soon as possible. And finally, I want to use multiple ways to test my students. I can ask questions. I can tell, hey, why don't you explain to Anna what you did? Or can you paraphrase what she just said, etc., etc. So there are two keys to that. First, monitor students' process, not just the answer, but the process. And also use other students as agents or as vehicles for assessment. And this connects very well to learning as a social activity. So you want to assess with the intention that your students learn more. Okay, so these are the 5 aspects of learning. And in following videos, we'll go into details for each of these aspects.